Okay, last time we talked about ratios. Ratios in maths are simply denoted with a colon, a double colon. Okay, sorry, just a colon. Okay, so if the ratio is 1 to 2, and say Mark has 1 apple, then Julie has twice as many bananas. Okay, so she has 2 bananas. If he has 2 apples, she has 4 bananas, and if he has 3 apples, then she will have 6 bananas, and so on. Okay, so that's how we write it in maths, ratio of 1 to 2. And the ratio for the clock rotations, so every time the hour hand rotates once, the minute hand will rotate 12 times, because there are 12 hours in one rotation, and the second hand will rotate 720 times, because there are 720 minutes in one rotation, or in 12 hours. Okay, and there are 12 sets of 60 minutes, or 12 hours in one rotation. Okay, so every time the hour hand rotates once, the minutes hand will rotate 12 times, and the second hand will have rotated 720 times. Okay, so how do we put this in the program? Okay, so we start with the speeds at which they move. Okay, so we can actually put all these speeds down here at the end, just to tidy it up. We don't need to put them directly after each component. We can just simply list them at the end. Okay, so A moves at a speed of 720 rotations, a speed of 720, 12, and 1. Okay, so in theory this should work. Let's see what we get. Okay, so now you can see what's happening. The hour hand is rotating, and I believe the minute hand is rotating, but the second hand is not. Okay, the second hand is probably rotating at 720. Okay, so this is because basically it's rotating too fast. It's 720 is way too fast. Okay, so we need to multiply it by the same factor, and we need to have a speed that is less than 1. So let's times this by a variable which we're going to call speed. Okay, and this variable is going to be less than 1. Okay, so we need to change all A, B, C and speed into floating point variables instead of integer variables, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so let's start out with a speed of 0.05. okay, and to change these into floating point variables, which means they can be fractional numbers. Okay, so you can have 0, 1.3 or 2.27 and a half, or 27.05 in decimal. Okay, we simply put a hash symbol, or sometimes pound symbol, which is shift and number 3 on most keyboards, such as the US layout, and I believe the English layout keyboards as well. Okay, and that enables them to be floating point variables. You do not have to define them down here as floating point variables, you can simply just write the variable because you've already specified in the initialization that they are floating point variables. Obviously, floating point variables means that it can be 1 point or 0 point or whatever point something something something. Here I've got 0.05. Okay, so now it's going to rotate a lot slower this time. Okay, and you can see our seconds hand is rotating, and every time it rotates, a minute goes by. Okay, by looking at the green hand, every single time the white hand rotates once, the green hand goes by 1 segment. Okay, and you can see that also the hour hand is moving. Obviously this is going a lot faster than than in real time. This is actually a lot faster. Okay, just for demonstration purposes. So we've done it on our clock that we've programmed. Actually 25 minutes has passed, and it's just coming up to half an hour now. Okay, because it's done 30 revolutions of the second hand, coming up about now. Okay, and you can see the hour hand is halfway between 12 and 1, which is what we would expect. Okay, so what if we wanted to change the speed of this, or we wanted exact control over it? We can put in some controls. Okay, and the only thing we need to control is the speed. Okay, so we can put that in the main loop, and let's put that where our speed variable is. I will just tidy this up a little bit. Okay, and let's put it down here at the end, and we can say if key down 205, then speed equals speed minus 0.005. So that's going to slow. Actually, we want to speed it up using that key. So that's the left arrow key. If you don't know where to get them, click on Help, click on Command Reference, click on Scan Codes Picker, and you just click on whatever key you want, and that's scan code 205, that's scan code 203. Okay, clicking back on the clock program tab. Okay, so 205, we want it to speed up, and if key down 203, we want it to slow down. Okay, so we just copy that and put 203 there, and let's put minus there. Okay, and we'll just put speed control. Okay, and just do that like that. Okay, so when we press the left and right, that should give us some speed control. Okay, and as you can see, I can go really fast, or I can slow it all the way down and go backwards. Okay, so I can even go back in time. I can go back in time, wow. Only on this program though, unfortunately. Okay, so you can see it's a bit too fast, the rate at which it speeds up and slows down, because I can't get it to actually stop. So there I go, that's a bit better. I've got a lot more control if I use smaller increments. See if I can get it to stop. Not quite. Yes, I can, just about. Okay, speeding it up with the right arrow key, slowing it down, and going backwards with the left arrow key. Okay, so I can change this. Instead of key down, I can put key hit, would probably be better. So I only tap it once to change the speed instead of holding the key down. Okay, so I tap it, and it gets faster. Tap it back, and it gets slower. Okay, and I can stop it, start it, stop it, Okay, so this is useful if you wanted to set the time for any reason. Okay, so for example, teaching kids how to use a clock, for example, or telling the time from a clock, you can now tell them to set the time to whatever time, say, let's say 12:30. Okay. Oops, just gone past. Try and set it to 12:30. Okay. It's actually quite hard, but it's good fun. Kind of, I suppose, if you're a youngster. But there you go, that's 12:30. Anyway, okay, so that's fairly easy, fairly straightforward. If we wanted to actually display the actual time, there is a command for that, and I'll just put display time. And I can put the time is. Let's put text. Remember, we use text, not print. Okay, otherwise it will open a different window. Okay, and we want it on the graphics window. And let's say the time is. And if we wanted to display the exact time, there's actually a function for this, which is a string variable, which means the computer sees it as an alphanumeric value rather than an actual value, an actual numerical value. It sees it as letters. Okay, even though it's numbers, it just reads it as a string. Okay, so there we go. The time is 8 o'clock in the evening. Okay, but you can see that our clock is not displaying the same time. Okay, unfortunately. So how do we get it to display the same time? The function current time just gives you the current time as a string. Okay, so the next tutorial we're going to actually get the computer to display the exact time as according to your computer clock or my computer clock or whichever computer clock on the machine this program is running on, to display the current time on the actual clock face. Okay, and it's actually fairly straightforward to do this now. All the hard stuff's out the way, and then we can move on to generalizing the clock and shrinking it and squashing it and doing all other kinds of things with it. Okay, so stay tuned for that.